the idea of the dreams, concept of dreams, different steers, contradictions about dreams, and the similarity between dreams and nevuah. So the Rebbe says, to be able to understand the idea of dreams, in a manuscript of Mamorim of the Alter Rebbe, which is written in the handwriting of the Mittler Rebbe, this Hanochas of the Alter Rebbe's Mamorim, and inserted in between them, there's also the notes of the Tzemach Tzedek. Yeshnam Shnei Mamorim Ktsarim. There are two short Mamorim of the Alter Rebbe. Achrei HaMaimer Divrei Maschil V'Neish Bagoy, after a Maimer titled V'Neish Bagoy. V'Maimer Hasheni, of those two Divrei Maschils, or of those two Mamorim, those two short Mamorim, there is the second Maimer, Peseach, begins Lahavin Inyan HaChalomis, to be able to understand what's the concept of dreams. And on the bottom of the page, in the footnote, he says this is presently, we can find that Maimer in the Mamorim of Tavkus Samach Beis. So the Rebbe says in the brackets, though in this manuscript it's not written the time when this Maimer was recited, there's a connection between this Maimer of Lavnin and Chaloimus to the Parshas of Vayeshev and Miketz Shebehem Medubar Chaloimus. Both in Parshas Vayeshev it speaks about Yosef's dreams and the dreams of the Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Oifin, and then in Parshas Miketz it speaks about the dreams of Parei. This we find also in a similar vein in the Mamorim of the Alter Rebbe and Torah Oir, in the Mamorim of the Mittler Rebbe and Torah's Chaim, and the Mamorim of the Tzemach Tzedek and Oir Torah, of these parshas, that we find that a topic that's discussed in those Mamorim, Shemeduber bin Nachaloimus, it speaks about dreams. Okay, once he spoke around the Mamorim, maybe Admar Zochen B'tchil Maimer, and the Alter Rebbe brings at the beginning of the Maimer the Nilo Philosophim Lahavin Inyan HaChaloimus, that the philosophers tired from understanding, they could not reach a conclusion to understand what's the idea of dreams. That a person dreams something that he never saw and never thought about it. And in addition to this, in a dream you see a combination of both matters that are true and false. So the Alter Rebbe explains in the Maimer over there that the Rebbe is quoting, a dream is similar to a miracle that's beyond intellect. For example, what do we find in a miracle? That you could have that water that usually cannot be used as fuel for a flame. Miraculously, there's a story in the Gemara about, let's say, vinegar lighting, or in this example, he's giving an example of water that lights and becomes fuel. How can that take place? So the operating procedure behind a nes, behind a miracle, is mitzad hisapchus hatzirufim, because of the turning around of the combinations of the letters of the Asara Amaris, the Misha Amar L'Shem V'Yidloi Cholu, that the one who said and commanded that oil will light. So the story in the Gemara said that he will say that the vinegar should light, with the story over there in the Gemaras. But Chassidus is medayik, that why does the Gemara have to say, why does this Amora say, who said that oil should light, will now say that the vinegar should light? What's the concept of the saying? The saying is referring to the Asara Amoris, that from the different combinations of the letters of the Asara Amoris comes the chayis, the vitality, the energy for all the different items in this world, including the specific characteristics that, for example, oil will light, and water or vinegar is not a fuel for fire. Misha Amar, the one who said, meaning in the Asara Amoris, he embedded in the Asara Amoris this particular character trait, he can make his hapchus hatzirufim. He can change around the different combinations of the letters that come out of the Asarim Amoris, as Shaykh the Mun explains that all matters come from different combinations of the letters of the Asarim Amoris. And now, despite the fact that initially the combination would not cause water, for example, to be fuel for a fire, now he changed the tzirufim, he changed the combinations, and now even water or vinegar, as in the case of the Gemara, will light. That is the idea of a miracle. And in a similar vein, is the idea of dreams. That dreams is beyond intellect. It makes no sense, just like the miracle makes no sense. It makes no sense that water all of a sudden should be fuel for a fire. And he explains, this is the smallness of greatness, the immaturity of something that's mature. He'll explain exactly what this small and great is referring to. When a person, for example, witnesses a miracle and he becomes excited by it, it impresses him. Why is it katnas shebegadlus? The beginnis hagadlus, who the idea of greatness is why is he becoming excited? What's making him so nespoil, as we say in Yiddish? Because he sees a great thing, he sees an unbelievable thing. That's the godless part. The godless is this unbelievable event. But on the other hand, his excitement is from the fact that he doesn't comprehend, he doesn't grasp this high thing. In other words, his mind is too small to be able to understand it, and that's what gets him so excited and impressed. Therefore, it's called the katnus. The katnus is because his lack of understanding of the godless of this great event. On the contrast with if he doesn't see the miracle and he doesn't become therefore impressed or excited by anything, so it's a katnus of a katnus. There's no miracle, that's one katnus, and he's not getting excited, that shows on his level of katnus. When he sees the miracle and he becomes impressed and excited by it, that's katnus shebegadlus. So he's going to explain the connection in the similar vein. That's the idea of a cholom, that it's something, a dream is something beyond his comprehension. It's something that makes no sense. And we're going to elaborate now further. In the second paragraph on the page, we need to understand there's another Maimer, the Alter Rebbe, concerning dreams. Similarly, there's also from the Rebbe Rashab, like Kamduber Kvarpam, that we spoke about this already in a different Maimer, the Rebbe spoke about this topic. That the purpose of dreams is to repair the letters, language, the revelations of our soul, as we'll soon explain. The letters and revelations, both in our thought and in our speech, and also action is also considered in a certain way letters, because letters are the concept of revelations from us that are throughout, that a person is invested in and involved in the entire day, need to be fixed up, need to be elevated, beautified through the dreams. So seemingly the dreams have a function that's logical and makes sense. As opposed to over here in this Maimer, the Alter Rebbe, he says that the idea of dreams is beyond intellect. So how do we reconcile the two? Does it have a purpose, or is it something beyond our understanding? Also, we need to understand what's brought down the Gemara. That all dreams are derived from a person's thoughts, whatever goes on in his mind during the day. So that sparks the ideas and the thoughts that fly around his brain during a dream, though it might be a little bit mixed up and confused and so on. The Kanoimrim, and over here in this Maimer, the Alter Rebbe says that he dreams something that he never thought about. So how do you reconcile the two? Either it's something that he did think about, or something he never thought about. So he says in the last paragraph on the first page, the matter will be understood by first prefacing, seemingly it's actually a question on this entire Maimer Chazal. What the Chazal said, a person does not dream only from the thoughts of his heart. Like we find just the opposite. We find that dreams are a certain type of prophetic message in it. Like it says by Moshe, that Moshe was unique, different than other people that had nevuah. I will not speak with him via a dream. Top of the second page of the mind. But by other prophets, or other nevi'im, that their prophecy was through a dream. So, if the prophecy comes through a dream, so how can you connect it with the thoughts of a person's heart? If the dreams are a vehicle for prophecy, the nevuah is something that's coming from above. Prophecy comes from above, not from the thoughts of a person's heart, whatever I was thinking about during the day. Like we find different things by the others that they saw in their dreams, matters of prophecy. And also in our parsha, in Vayeshev, that we have by Yosef's dreams, these were prophetic about him being, it was a prophetic vision that he would eventually be a king, and they would all come and bow down to him. So the Rebbe right away says, this is not such a difficult question, just based on the dreams of the Avos. Over there by the Avos, this was a result of the thoughts of the Avos' heart themselves. When it says the dream of Yaakov, that he saw that the sheep are going, and the akudim, the kudim, etc. The thoughts of his heart wasn't matters of sheep. So even though it was a prophecy, but on the other hand, it took the form of things that he was doing during the day, which is the idea of sheep. In a similar vein, the dream of Yitzchak, that he was told, do not descend to Mitzrayim. So again, it was about things that he was considering. He was considering going to Mitzrayim, and the dream was not to go to Mitzrayim. And so to the dream of Avram, that he saw this terrifying, great darkness, etc. in his dream. Not sure exactly what was the experience or thought that Avram had during the day that gave forth this idea. But regardless of however we'll explain it by the others, but still in all, but still we find other matters of prophecy that seemingly are not connected with the thoughts of the heart. So therefore, the question is, how did the Chazal say that the dreams of a person comes because of and as a result of the thoughts of his heart, when we have nevuah, which at least in many instances is totally unrelated to the thoughts of the heart. So the Rebbe says in the second paragraph, Yuvin Zem, Al Pi Maimer Azal, this will be understood according to what the Chazal state. Ein Shnei Neviim Misnabim Besignoin Echad. Two prophets, even if they will relate the same event, do not say nevuah in the same style, in the same language, in the same terminology. The question is about this seemingly, why is this so? Since the prophecy is what the Spirit of Hashem spoke through them, and His word is upon their tongue, so why can't it be using the same terminology, the same language? So still from this we see, though in truth it was actually the word of Hashem that speaks through them. It's still connected with the letters and the vessels of the Navi. In other words, it has to go through the mind of this particular Navi. This means that the content of the matter is truly coming from above. It's enclosed in the terminology, in the mind, how the Navi perceives it and delivers it. Before we go to the next mashal, you could have different speakers delivering the same topic. Let's say you can have different Lubavitch Rabbanim explaining, let's say, the same Sikha the Rebbe. And yet, each one has a certain style and a certain way, a certain type of delivery, and a certain way of bringing it out. The same thing, every Navi, you can have two different Naviim delivering the same message from Hashem, but they will have a certain style that's unique and different one from another. And this mashal, the Rebbe is going to bring what I said of, let's say, two Chabad rabbis or whatever giving over the Sikhs to the Rebbe. He's going to say this, but in a way concerning the Gemara. Similar to what's explained in Chassidus, the Inyan Sharif, Rosh, Veran, Oimer, Mesoisa Halacha. You could find three major halachicists that are Rishonim, follow the Gemara, and they derive and they deliver the halachic conclusion from a certain part of the Gemara. The Rabbi Yitzchak Alfasi does this, Rabbeinu Asher does this, and Rabbeinu Nissim speaks about the halacha. And they could be saying the same exact halachic ruling. But v'chol echad oimra ba'osis acheres. Each one delivers that halacha in other means of delivery, in other types of language than the other would deliver the same halachic ruling. Sometimes the Chassidus will bring an example not from halacha but from the Rishonim explaining a svara, explaining a reasoning and an explanation of the Gemara instead of the halachic ruling. Where over there, this could be the same svara, he says the Ramban and the Rashba and the Ritva, for example, and yet still, even though they're saying the same svara, each one expresses it in their own language. And the Chassidus is explained, why is that so? It's brought down the reason for this in Chassidus, which is a kashur im nishmasam. This is connected with the neshama of that particular rishon, the Rosh, the Rif, the Ran, etc. The Oisius Sharsha Metzma Nefesh. We know that letters and language are rooted in the essence of the Nefesh. Though their Torah was the Torah of truth, they're delivering Hashem's ruling, Hashem's halacha. Mikol Malkum still in all, but again, when it comes to letters and language, the matter of halacha had to become clothed in their language, in their letters, that each one of these Rishonim was different than the other and had different letters based on their different nefesh, because their letters came from the essence of the nefesh. By the way, this is also what Chassidus brings down, is the proof that the letters are not derived from the seichel itself. Because if the letters are derived from the seichel itself, so then everybody that is expressing the same idea should be using the very same letters. Rather, the idea is completely separate from the letters. The letters come from the etzem nefesh, and then every person takes letters from their etzem nefesh and uses it and designs it to meet the purpose of expressing the very same seichel that someone else used his letters and his etzem nefesh differently. So now the Rebbe is going to bring that the idea of the Nevi'im, each one having their own manner of expression in saying Nevuah. Similarly, it's also in the idea of prophecy. Though the content of the prophecy, it's the same prophecy and it's coming all from Hashem, whether this prophet said it or the other one. It had to become enclosed in their own language that's unique to this particular Navi, and every Navi is unique in their language and their way of expression. Now the question is, what does it mean that it enclosed in their language? They were completely removed from who they were when they experienced prophecy. The Alpha Pishetzel Nevi'im, though by the Nevi'im there was the removal of their garments. Like it says that Shaul HaMelech also removed his garments, and he said Nevuah. And the idea of removal of the garments, it is undressing from the physical, because the entire idea of garments, we've had this in Basil Gani, the Frierdiker Rebbe, is only a result of the Chet Eitzadas, which fed the ego. So the whole idea of garments is indicative and symbolic of a person's gashmias. And when a person experiences their a prophecy, he is completely removed from all of that. And the Rebbe also adds, that this experience of removing of the Gashmias, unclothing and undressing oneself from the Gashmias, is also to be found by Chassidim during davening. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in the Shulchan Aruch, he literally brings this down, that Chassidim v'Anshe Maaseh can reach during davening a state of Afshatas Hagashmis, the removal and undressing of the physical, similar almost at the stage of Nevuah. And what they're experiencing, what does it mean that they have the removal of their garments, also the spiritual garments? Not only the external garments are being removed, also the inner garments are being removed. So if so, how can we say that I have my letters and language and he has his letters, and every Navi says with their own letters? Didn't he remove all these garments? Garments has to do with the letters. The Machshava Dibur Ma'is are the garments. So the Rebbe says, the inner garments that the Navi is letting go of is only what's called inner in regards to something that's totally external. I guess the coarseness of the person. Is the truly inner garments, that this the letters in which he enclothes his ideas and his information. From this, they did not become unclothed, and therefore every Navi can deliver the same identical message in his own, even though it's godly message, in his own language. Especially the true idea of letters is not the garments of thought, speech, and deed, but rather, as we mentioned before, their root is from the essence of the soul, which is even higher, not just than being the external garments, the intellect and emotions, but they're even higher than the intellect. Like it's explained in many places, how letters and languages' root is higher than even intellect. And therefore, Valpiza ein stir bein inen anavua shebachol l'maimer azal ein odem choylem el meiruri liboy. According to this, there's no contradiction between the fact that in a dream you could have prophecy, and on the other hand, it says a person only dreams the thought of his heart, what's in the thought of his heart. Though the prophecy itself is coming from above, since it is coming specifically in the Navi's own letters and language, as it is in his Etzma Nefesh, therefore it's called from the thoughts of his heart. So it's simply put, the thoughts of his heart is talking about the external language of the prophecy, but the message itself is a revelation from Hashem.